Good morning to those that are in the other part of the world. This week, I will continue the message from last week. And I tell you, this is so much needed, the message. From hearing the worldwide news and the events and things that are happening in the world today, and this is included with God's people, this message is really needed. And I'm speaking to God's people. And I exhort you to listen to what God has to say in His Word to His people. Last week we left off with God told Moses to tell the children of Israel to paint the blood of the sacrificial lamb at the top of their doorposts, because God was going to send a plague in the land of Egypt. And the children of Israel, they heeded to what God had said. And when the plague came on Egypt, all of the firstborn of the Egyptians died, including the house of Pharaoh. And as I said last week, God has sent another plague on the earth, what we call the COVID-19 virus. This is a plague. Now, let us continue. And I beseech you, God's people, by the mercy of God, to listen to what this message said. Now, when the plague came on Egypt and the children of Israel were protected, and God told them to stay in their houses. Stay in their houses. God told them that, to stay in their houses, so the plague will not affect not one of the children of Israel in Egypt. Now, do you think just because the blood was on the doorpost, that any of the children of Israel came outside to watch the plague just take every firstborn in the house of Egypt and just laugh at them because the Egyptians were their enemy? They didn't come out of the houses and just walk by the Egyptian houses. They did not come out of their houses where their blood was covered on their doorposts, and walk through Egypt and watch the plague that's killed the Egyptians. They followed God's commandments all the way to the fullness. They stayed in their homes, so they were not affected by the plague. If they would have come out of their homes and went through Egypt just to see death take the Egyptians, all of their firstborn, the plague would have gotten them too. The purpose of the blood on the doorpost was to have the plague pass over your house. And don't come out until God tells you to come out. As it was in that day, so it is today. Every child of God, born again Christian, have the blood of Jesus Christ already marked over their forehead. And God has told His people, now listen, I'm sending this plague on the earth. Stay in your homes. Don't you think, now listen, you are protected from the plague as long as you are obedient to God. Don't think just because you are born again, child of God, that you are protected because you're covered by the blood of Jesus Christ. So you come out of your house, disobeying the law. God do not go against the law, my brothers and sisters. If the law tell you to stay in the house, stay in the house. Only come out when it's necessary. Don't tempt God. Don't tempt God by coming out of your houses unnecessarily and breaking the law. In the past week or two, Christians, supposed to be born again Christians, are defying the law and expect their faith in God to protect them from the plague. No, it will not. It will not. You only have protection as long as you render unto Caesar that do Caesar, and render unto God the things that do God. You don't need to prove to God that you have faith and believe in him. He already knows these things. I say unto my pastors, brothers and sisters, don't tell the people that are under you to come to church and put them in jeopardy of catching this coronavirus. They're going to die in vain. God made you watchmen over the flock. He said, when you see the sword coming, he said, warn the people. If the sword come and take it in among them, and you warn the people, they'll die in their sin, but their blood will not be required to your hand. This is in Ezekiel, the 33rd chapter. Then he said, Son of man, speak unto the children of thy people, and say unto them, when I send a sword in the land, and you see the sword coming, and you don't warn the people will still die in their sin, but their blood will I require to your hands. My brothers and sister pastors, you see the sword, you see the plague, you know it's from God, but yet and still you tell the people to run into the danger by telling them to come out and go to church. Come out by the hundreds and thousands and go into the buildings. And the law told you not to do it. We're supposed to render unto Caesar the things that are of Caesar, and render unto God the things that are of God. You say, why did this happen? We believe God, we trusted God. Why did we catch COVID-19? Because you disobeyed the law. God told us to render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar, and render unto God the things that are God. God will not protect you from the COVID-19 plague if you are disobedient to the law. And you are disobedient to his word by tempting him. Satan did that thing to Jesus. He tried to get Jesus to tempt God. He took him up on the temple. He said, jump down. Said, it is written that when you do jump down, that God was going to send his angels and bear you up unless your feet dash against a stone. But what did Christ tell Satan? Say, also it is written that thou should not tempt the Lord thy God. And my brothers and sisters, when we do these things, we are tempting God. God's protection will not cover you when you tempt God. Don't say in your heart that I'm tempted by God, for God is tempted by no man, and no man can tempt him, and neither do he tempt any man. You don't have to prove that you love God and you have faith in him by breaking the law and coming out with this plague. You're going to die. You're not under the protection of God. We'll continue our next message next week, God willing. But I had to bring this message out tonight to warn God's people. My brothers and sisters, stay home. You don't have to try to prove to God that you trust and believe in him and that you have faith. God bless you. I love you. My prayers are with you.